This is the Big Lap Chats podcast, where our mission is to help caravanners and campers plan their ultimate lap of Australia. Whether you're dreaming of hitting the road or already travelling, we provide all the information and tools you'll need to bring your dream to life. Tune in as our expert host Annette Jones chats with Australia's big lappers, caravanners and campers, sharing hints and tips for creating the best memories while travelling around Australia. Be sure to check out Annette's website, AllAroundOz, Australia's leading site for planning a lap of Australia. But now, settle in and hit play while you're on the road and listen as Annette delivers today's episode.
Where are you guys? That looks lovely in the background.
That is a really good question.
Where are we, Liz? Liz never knows where we
We're
are.
near Mansfield.
Vic High Country, Lake Eildon.
Oh, nice. Nice out that way.
It's
Yeah.
good. We've been hanging around. We've got a few things on in Melbourne over the next couple of months, so we've been going in and out of Melbourne and just filling in the gaps for the last few weeks. So, it's good
fair
here.
enough.
We like it.
Yeah, fair enough. No houseboating though?
No.
Not this time.
No, I've done a bit of that before, but not this time.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
cool.
not as a family. I've done it as a boys' trip. And we did a yacht charter up at Fraser Island a couple of years ago.
Oh, nice. That would be lovely. Where are the kids today? Are they on their screens?
Screen time.
They've been bribed.
Nothing wrong
We'll
with
see how long it lasts.
that. That's okay. They can make a cameo appearance.
Yeah.
Well, we'll get stuck into it if you want to get going.
Yeah, let's go.
So first, I'll just explain what happens. I'm just going to ask you some set questions that I ask everybody. It's a really informal chat, like you're just having a chat with a friend. It's not very structured, more like a conversation, really, but with some really good, valuable information for the listeners, whether it be my listeners from the blog post or the podcasting platforms. So I'll just introduce you first. That's always a good start, isn't it?
Yeah.
Welcome back to another episode of Big Lap Chats, and today I have some fantastic people with me. I'm sure you'll know who they are. It's Liz and Simon from the Lifestyle Pioneers. Welcome.
Thanks,
Hey
Annette.
guys, thanks for
Welcome.
having us.
You're very welcome. And if someone that is listening don't know who you are, would you just like to do a little bit of an intro and introduce yourself?
You
Go
can
on.
do that one, Di.
Oh, okay.
How
So-
would you describe us?
So yeah, we're a family of four. So we got two young boys, they're 6 and 8, and yeah, we've been travelling full time around Australia with a caravan for the last 4 years. We're just about to get another caravan and rip into another couple of years of that. So yeah, it's sort of an indefinite trip. It was a 12-month lap that exploded, and then the end date sort of got pushed out and then disappeared altogether.
That sounds terrific. And I know that you guys really like to get off the beaten track
Do you?
rather than staying on the blacktop. I mean, literally in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, we've been to some pretty wild places, especially recently. Yeah. You can just travel for days and not see a single person, and then it just hits you sometimes where you're like, oh my goodness, we've really removed ourselves from civilization here. Yeah, that's where we love it.
Yeah.
Just exploring those more outback places that are hard to get to, and the outback is beautiful. It's so beautiful, and there's so much to see. So the list is endless. I've just lost my voice. Hang on.
That's not good.
What a great start.
Yeah, off to a roaring start. What I didn't mention before too is if you don't want to answer a question, that's fine. I'm happy. You just tell me, I'm not answering that one. Whatever. It doesn't matter. I can,
What kind
cut
of
it out.
questions do you want to ask us?
Oh, would you like to know? I know in the last episode you were saying that the kids were really missing, or the YouTube episode, I should say, they were missing some kid time and family, and you guys were missing family time as well. How do you find the boys cope on the road when there's just the four of you? And how I suppose it's just Harrison, isn't it, that's schooling at the moment. How's he adapted to homeschooling?
Yeah, so they're both schooling now. So James is in
Just started
school.
year one.
So they're doing School of the Air, so through Kalgoorlie, which is like a distance education program, which is pretty good. I think it's like anything. Like there's a lot of challenges when you travel, like anything you do in life, and it's just one of those things we got to try and keep in balance. While we love being out in the middle of nowhere and really remote, and the kids do as well. Like anything, it has to be in balance with your other needs, and the kids have got social needs, and so do we. And obviously, you miss family and friends when you're traveling a lot, but we always try and plan around trying to either meet up with other travelers or other families. It often happens organically. You just bump into people along the way. But yeah, there's if the boys or us are particularly craving that sort of social connection, then it's normally pretty easy to seek it out when you want it as well. So yeah, it's definitely something as the kids get older, we're noticing it more and more that they need it, because the boys were pretty young when we started traveling. Harris was 4 and James was 2. So in some sense, they don't know much different as far as a lifestyle is concerned. But yeah, it's just something just one of those things we've got to keep in balance, like anything else.
Yeah, fair enough. And what kicked all this off for you? Why is it that you hit the road for just that 12 months? How did it all start?
Yeah, we were just sick of having a flushing toilet and having power connected whenever we wanted it, and having a couch.
Clean sheets and we're just sick of all those really nice things.
Yeah.
Life in a house was way too comfy. Yeah, look, a lot of things, like a lot of people, I think we wanted to spend a bit more time with the kids and just live a bit of a different lifestyle. We'd both worked up through our careers and sort of reached this point where we just wanted to get out and explore and do a bit more. And like I said, at the beginning, we originally was only going to do a lap for a year, and but then we kind of always hoped, I think, that we'd be able to do it for longer, and that we'd travel for a bit longer than that. I don't think we ever thought it'd be 4 years,
4 years later,
and still going. But what would you say? What the reasons we left, or why we started?
Oh, I think like there's always been a desire to travel and see new places and things like that. And it's sort of like, I was a school teacher, so we used to go away every school holidays. Every time we could, we would just pack the camper trailer and off we'd go. And we just loved it. And there's so many things that I just didn't want to leave until we'd retired, because, we love hiking, we love snowboarding, we love diving and snorkeling and all these things. And you just never know what the future is going to hold for you. So I think we just wanted to make sure we did it while we were still young, fit, active, able, and we could take the kids with us. Yeah. And it seemed like the perfect time, having young kids and them not being in school already. So you could just take them out and leave all the childcare germs behind.
Yeah. So you're a school teacher. What did you do, Simon?
Yes, I was in the trade. I was a landscaper, and then I became a metal roofer, and then I took that to be a project manager. I was site construction supervisor, and then a project manager, and then I was running a roofing business in Canberra. That was our last few years before we left. So I was sort of in the
thick of it.
Yeah, right in the messy bit of construction.
Yeah. So just a little bit different lifestyle now.
Yeah, just a bit.
Simon's phone used to ring about 200 to 300 times a day.
Yeah, it was a pretty hectic sort of life.
Yeah.
And so then we just decided to change up our skill sets completely and taught ourselves to make some videos and film some stuff, and self-taught photographers and videographers, and learned a lot about. We didn't even have an Instagram account before we started traveling. We didn't
even use it.
Didn't even know what Instagram really was. So it was a bit of a baptism by fire, but it was just a case of dive in head first and see what happens. And it's been an awesome journey. I can't really imagine how different it would have been if we traveled without sharing it on YouTube and social media. It's been a really, really awesome, just side benefit to the whole experience, really.
Yeah. I guess you've got to like doing that sort of thing, because editing it's a long process to learn, isn't it?
Yeah,
it is. And then even still, once you've learned it each week, it's quite a task each week to put a video out. So something that we're really proud of is that we've managed to, over 4 years, I think we've only missed a few weeks that we haven't put a video out. So it's pretty well comes out pretty regularly weekly. But yeah, it's a lot of work to make it happen, but it also gives us a real purpose to our travels, and it helps to give us a direction and guidance as far as what we're doing, I think. And it's good to have that creative outlet too, and to have something to keep us occupied.
I was going to say, we're not bored.
We're not.
No, I understand.
Yeah.
How long would it take you to put an episode together, typically?
Look, It varies these days. Depends on the episode. Some come together a bit quicker than others, but between
not including filming,
Yeah.
just the editing.
probably 15 to 30 hours, depending, but probably average around that 20 to 25 hours a week of
Yeah.
actual editing time.
Yeah.
And then trying to get it uploaded and all the other stuff that goes with it and promoting it and everything. But yeah, in the actual editing processes around that these days.
Yeah.
But when we first started, it was probably more like 40 or 50 hours a week. So it's definitely become a bit easier in that sense.
And pre-styling. So then you also had to drive somewhere that had service that you could upload this
Yes.
massive episode.
Yeah.
Some of the stories we could tell you about uploads.
Some strange places we've camped and spent a lot of time based on where there was a phone tower we could get service to upload an episode. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you, Elon. I'm sure
Yeah,
he's
that's
listening.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's a regular follower.
Yeah.
So what's one of the most things that lappers overlook that could make or break their journey? Do you think?
Yeah, it's an interesting one. I mean, for us and our style of travel, I would say flexibility. You got to maintain. Like, it's all good to have your places you want to visit, things you want to see, and look, these days there are some places you got to book and things like that a reasonable distance ahead, but you really want to maintain, I think, as much flexibility in your travel as you can. Often, so many things you can think are going to be a place or an activity is going to be really, really good, and then it's not as good as you thought, so you don't want to spend as much time there as you thought, or vice versa. Sometimes you just stumble across these absolute gems that you had no idea were there, and if you don't have that flexibility, you can't really take full advantage of those situations. So that'd be my thing, would be maintain as much flexibility as you can in your schedule.
I would say the same thing, but for another reason. It's travel fatigue. You cannot go hiking, do experiences day after day after day, and your kids cannot do it either. You have to have days in there where you do absolutely nothing, and the kids play Lego, draw on the mat, go nowhere, see no one, and just have down days. And I think that's probably something that a lot of people don't factor in.
Yeah, I think so too. And it's hard to get out of that habit at first of, I should be doing something today. We need to go out, or we need to go do a hike, or we need to go and see something. When in fact you actually don't.
No, you just need to sit and enjoy and do nothing.
Yeah, and enjoy where you are.
Yeah.
And everyone's pace is different. And like our pace when our first 6 to 12 months was much, much quicker. And then over the years, we've sort of slowed down a bit more. But I think we still meet a lot of people who have only got 12 months. And I appreciate they're trying to jam a lot into that 12 months. And that's awesome. But you can see in people when they don't have those down days or that downtime, it can catch up on you.
Yeah, for sure. What's the 3 biggest money-saving hacks that you could share that work for you?
I would say
free camping.
Yeah, that's a good one.
So number 1 would be free camping, and just looking at your options on Wikicamps, using apps like that, and setting yourself up so that you can stay places longer and just make use of them while they're there. Number 2 would be
I'd say fuel. Yeah. So your biggest expenses, I mean, apart from your groceries and things like that, but we always look at those things as money you would spend at home or no matter what you were doing. So specifically related to travel, accommodation and fuel are always going to be your biggest. Fuel, don't assume everywhere's the same price. Do your research, do your fuel planning so that you're fueling up where the best deals are. Smash the discounts, like maximize your discounts. You can, like Shell, for example, you can add discounts together and you can get them in a heap of different places. So maximize your discounts. You get an app, like we use a fuel app to check the fuel prices and plan your fuel. And I'd say on that one as well, it's kind of related, is don't be tempted by the snacks at the fuel station, because they can smash you for price. And just that's the beauty of having the van or being set up for travel, is that you got your own food and drinks and stuff, and you can buy them at the supermarket where it costs you a fraction of the money. So that'd be it. And then what do you reckon number 3 is?
I would say if you're starting out on your lap, you don't need everything before you go. Just get the basics, and then if you feel like you need it, then you can add it. There are places you can buy things around the country, or you can use the Post app to get stuff delivered to post offices for you if you feel like you're missing it. I feel like sometimes there can be a lot of, you have to have this, you have to have this, you have to have this, make sure you get this. The reality of it is that you can go, we've seen backpackers living on shoestring budgets, having the best time, everything up to like big expedition trucks that cost more than most people's houses.
and they're all having a
and they're
great
all
time.
having a great time. So don't let that put you off going. And there are so many people traveling Australia in all sorts of different setups, but you only ever see the ones really that are doing it on social media, if that makes sense. Like there are so many people traveling who have these jobs that are just traveling and they're not sharing it. But the reality is you're really only seeing the people who are genuinely sharing it. And so it's just a small sliver. So yeah, do it your way, do it on your own budget. And if you really want to do it, just make it happen.
Yeah, for sure. What's one thing that you bought that you have never used? Was there a useless item that you thought, I've got to have that, and you've never
I don't know
used
if there
it?
was a
We've done so many clear outs. If we don't use it, we get rid of it.
I reckon it's more just the quantity of stuff, as in, I don't think there's any like big ticket items that we probably don't use and took that we didn't need to, but just generally too many clothes, too much stuff in the kitchen, like all that sort of stuff. And even we thought we were being savvy when we left. We thought we had it figured out.
We were like all over this payload business, you know.
And we were like, oh yeah, you don't need that many clothes. And we probably still, after our first year, cut our clothes in half. So it's
And you just did another cull just recently and got rid of like half your spare tools that you just like 4.5 years. I've never used them. They're just in case ones, but it ends up just taking up space and then making this available space you do have less functional. You just want everything to be laid out nicely, neatly, easy to access. You want really good functionality.
And try and take as much stuff as you can that serves multiple purposes or is flexible or versatile. It's tricky with stuff like tools and that because you might not use them often, but it's that time when you do need them that you can
guaranteed will need the thing that you
exactly. But in general, I don't know that there's any really big ticket items.
We've seen plenty of other people with things that we think are completely useless, but everyone travels differently. Like some people
for sure.
Like had a clamshell that you get from Bunnings, you know, like the kids clamshells.
Oh yeah.
They were traveling with one of those for their kids, and I was like, whoa, just dig a hole.
So
take a shovel.
We won't mention any names, Mel and Pete. Yeah.
They should have known better.
Yes. Annexes, that's a big one. People think they need an annex as well.
Definitely don't.
Yeah, we've never had one.
No, we've never had one. Never needed one either. I guess if you're going to live somewhere for 3 or 4 months, you might. And you have, 2 kids.
Unless you're planning on stopping and working for a long period of time or something like that somewhere. But even then, I mean, caravans these days are pretty comfy, light, airy spaces. I think back in the day when annexes were popular, the caravans were pretty dark, sort of pokey little boxes. You know, these days they're pretty nice, big windows, and you can sit inside with the windows open, as you know, and it's as comfy as being, or even comfier than being out in an annex. That's for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
What's your secret to finding those breathtaking yet completely under the radar locations?
Watch the Lifestyle Pioneers on YouTube. Yeah.
Shameless plug.
We've got no name.
It's just hunting. It's a whole range of things, and I'd encourage people just to be just get involved everywhere. Whether there's heaps of like Facebook groups are great, Instagram accounts. Follow your favorite Instagrammers. Find people,
other travelers that have come from the opposite direction as you.
Yeah, chat to people. Don't get stuck talking to me in a campsite. I can tell you, because you'll be there a while. But yeah, I love having a yarn to people going, particularly like Liz said, if they're going the opposite way.
So bad.
YouTube, all jokes aside, YouTube is a great one. But just find people, particularly if you're going to follow social media accounts and stuff, just find people who travel a similar way to you do, or that you would like to, because everyone does it their own way, and just grab a few ideas. But there's just, you can't really go wrong. I mean, wiki camps obviously is the Bible for most people traveling, but it's almost a double-edged sword, wiki camps, because there's almost so many camps on there that trying to narrow them down can be tricky. But sometimes we'll do a bit of a reconnaissance as well, like as we're day tripping around or whatever, just having a look at what other campsites
Simon
might be
has
around.
to take every sidetrack.
As many as possible. Yeah.
What's down here? There's a good camp down here. I'll go suss it out. I would say the other thing we do with wiki camps is I always have it open, and I always save a place as to my favorites if someone recommends it to me, because I will forget. I'm like a goldfish. If you tell me the name of a place, I couldn't even remember where we were just before when we started. So if we're talking about campsites, I just go in and favorite them. And that way I can look and go, in a new region, and I've already got 10 to 20 love-hearted campsites to pick from. And I know that for some reason somebody's recommended it. So it sort of just narrows it down. And it just helps you with the search because it's endless. Like there's so many campsites. You can't look at them all. So
have you got a few favourites?
Yeah, probably favourite regions more than so. It's an interesting thing with campsites.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of people that when they set off on the big lap, they have in their mind these just night after night of just epic campsites around the country.
So not true.
And as we all know, that just isn't. It's just not possible. And there's some absolute crackers out there, but sometimes and often, in fact, the best campsites have nothing to do with where it is. It can be the weather. It can be you can go to the best campsite on a crappy weather day, and it's you're gonna wonder what everyone's raving about. You can pull up in a gravel pit, and there's a couple of other like-minded travelers there, and you have a beer with them and have a good chat, and you have a good night, and it sticks in your memory. And it was just a random campsite on the side of the road. So we're always a bit wary of recommending our favourite campsites because why they're our favourite may not mean that you're going to enjoy it as much. But overall, I mean, I think regions. I mean, we love the mountains where we are now, the high country sort of stuff.
Yeah,
Pulling up
Kosciuszko and the Vic High Country.
Yeah, pulling up on a lake like this or a creek or a river somewhere and just hanging out is about as good as it gets for us. But then we do enjoy a good beach camp as well. WA's really got the market there when it comes to beach camping. I mean, there is a few in Queensland and South Australia and stuff, but
WA's where it's at.
WA's got it sorted. I mean, Ningaloo you can't beat. Down around the Esperance area, there's a few around there that are brilliant. And then we love the centre as well. So the Flinders. I mean, we could go on, but there's
so many beautiful spots.
I couldn't possibly narrow it down.
And the thing is though that when you're in Ningaloo and you're on these beachfront campsites, all you'll want is like a nice green grassy mountain. And when you're freezing out in the mountain, or you're like dreaming about the Ningaloo coast. So I don't know what that is in my head, but I'm always after grass when I'm at the beach, and when I'm at the grassy mountain area, I'm like, oh, let's go snorkeling.
Yeah. And you do have to sometimes, as crazy as it might sound, you do have to sometimes take a moment to appreciate where you are and not be thinking too far ahead about the next place you're going to go to or where you're going to be in a couple of months' time. And just because you can sometimes get caught up in all that and not really fully appreciate the place you're in. So, yeah, you really want to make sure when you get to a good place, settle in, enjoy it. If you've got that flexibility in your travel schedule, you can make the most of it, stay as long as you want. And then, that's gonna make your trip.
Yeah, I agree. And just touch on what you were saying, Liz, we're weird as humans, aren't we? You know, we're here and we want to be there, and then we're there.
Why
and we
are we never happy?
Yeah, cracks me up sometimes.
Yeah.
If you could give only one piece of advice to someone planning a lap of Australia, what would you tell them?
Let me think about that for a second. You go.
Sure.
What makes you think I know straight off the top of my head?
I don't know. You love the chat.
I think just don't stress the little things. Just get the big stuff sorted. Make sure you got somewhere to sleep, something to eat, got a bit of water on board, and just don't sweat the little stuff. Don't try and have everything figured out before you go, because
no one does.
No one does. And even the people like us that think they do don't. And you just figure it out on the way, and everyone travels differently, and everyone, like anything. So it's just going to take some time to figure out what suits you and figure out your own travel style and everything like that. And I guess back to what we were saying before, try not to go there with that expectation that 365 days a year are going to be awesome. You're going to have down days, you're going to have rough days, but overall it's absolutely amazing, and it's going to be the best experience of your life. You just got to have realistic expectations, I suppose. What about you, Liz? Now you've had time to think about it.
Yeah, you're not getting out of it.
My travel advice would be to check in with each other and see how everyone's feeling, because when you first start traveling, it's like it's a huge shift in your lifestyle. It's almost like when you go from having no kids to kids, in the sense that all your responsibilities change, all your routines change, everything changes, and you're all suddenly living in a small space. There's all these new skills that you have to learn in terms of understanding power systems, water management. And it can be very easy, I think, to forget that everyone's going through that change. So be kind to each other, check in with your kids, and just work it out, because I think that's probably, we call it like this. I reckon most people, when I ask them like, how long you've been traveling, if they're in the first 10 weeks, they're so stressed out of their minds. I'm like, about 12 weeks and you'll find your groove, I reckon. There's a lot of learning that happens in the first couple of weeks and new routines, and especially when it comes to kids too, because if you've both been at work and now you're both not working, all your household routines change, everything changes, and there's going to be some arguments.
Yeah.
What are you talking about? We've never argued.
Oh, never.
Oh dear, that's
Yeah.
funny.
So be kind to each other.
Yeah, I think that's a good. It is a difficult one to adapt to, like you say. You're living in a tin can, for goodness sakes, aren't you? Really,
Yeah.
with people that you probably don't see all day, every day, 24/7. Before,
Yeah, and you're probably used to having a bit of alone time, whether it be at work,
Yes.
a lunch break where you don't have
Yeah.
anyone or anything to
Yeah.
ask you for something or need
Yes.
something. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a big one.
Yeah. Overstimulation is a real thing.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. What's the biggest myth about travelling Australia that needs to be busted?
Oh, that's a good one.
Ooh.
Biggest myth. I would say the biggest myth is that everyone that's traveling is doing social media.
Yeah.
And like Liz was touching on before, it's just that everyone that has social media is the only ones that you see traveling. And then, and that's how for a lot of us, that's how we fund our lifestyle. And there is hundreds of different ways that people are out there making it happen. If you need to earn income while you're traveling, we've met people that do everything from remote sort of medical people through to people working as they travel on stations, through to tradies, through to
People who
everyone's
work at
got
Bunnings and just shift from Bunnings to Bunnings to Bunnings. Like,
Oh, wow.
yeah, they just have a company policy. You
People
just trade.
People get really creative. And look, if that's what you need to do to make it happen, we couldn't recommend you do it highly enough. Just figure out your skill sets or learn some new ones, whatever it is, or just get out there and travel and find work. But yeah, I think the biggest myth is that everyone traveling has an Instagram account or a YouTube channel or both like us, and then that's how they...
And that's the only way to fund it.
Whereas we're actually less than 1% of people that are traveling.
Less than 0.5%.
Yes, I think that's a myth we'd like to try and bust. But we can see what happens because, like we say, that's what people see. But yeah, when you get out there, you'll realise it's not the case.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's not every second person with a camera in their hand.
No.
And we still feel weird doing it after 4 years. It still feels weird to do.
Yeah.
Oh, do you?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a really unnatural thing to have a camera
and
in
talk
your face
to it.
and talk to it.
Because it's just this lens, isn't it, really?
People can't help but stare at you. So if there's anyone around and you're doing it, they're all just looking at you. And
that's why we love going remote. No one to see us. We're so embarrassed.
Oh, yeah. I hear. We've done a fair bit of filming. It's just time to edit. I've got so many other things going on. So, yeah, I've got all these clips to edit, but it probably will never happen. But I know what you mean. You're out there filming and you're sort of doing it incognito, which is impossible.
Exactly. Yeah.
So how do you stay connected but still productive on the road without sacrificing the adventure?
Yeah, look, that's a really good question because this is actually a really, I wouldn't say a really big challenge, but it's definitely something we're constantly aware of.
Is getting the balance right. And you can always feel when it's not right. And then you just have to make adjustments. You can tell if you spent too much time editing and not enough time with the kids, or if you spent too much time with the kids and then the work's piling up. Or you get to a place and you feel like you haven't got time to explore it because you're too busy working. You just adjust and I don't know, it's really tricky. There's no one secret to it. It's not like we have a schedule where at 8 a.m. we do this and at 9 a.m. we do this, because every day is different and everything looks different. But I guess with the kids doing School of the Air, they do have routine around that. So they have morning calls and live calls and Zoom calls. And there is routine and structure around their day in the sense that they go to bed at the same time and the caravan is always the same, but it's just a juggle. And I don't know if anyone's got the secret sauce.
I was going to say, because we're still figuring it out, and we constantly change, and we've tried a whole lot of different things, but it's really just being aware of it, just being connected. And obviously when our business is based around being on social media as well, then we need to be aware of when there's too much of that, and we need to learn to switch off from that. Some simple things we do for that, we just turn off notifications and things like that. So when we're working. When we're not being interrupted by it. It is a constant thing that we're making sure that we're just checking in with each other and the kids and just making sure that we're not dropping the ball anywhere and trying to just figure our way through it.
And I think the tricky thing there is that most people are not necessarily doing social media, but a lot of them are working while they're traveling to fund it. A lot of them are homeschooling or doing some sort of remote schooling on the way, and it is a really tricky balance. So you do sometimes see people that are just completely retired all the time in the world, and you're like, are they bored? Are they just relaxing and bored? You don't get that when you've got kids.
No. If you could see what Kev's doing at the moment, he's lying on the bed with his feet up watching videos.
Yeah.
That's what retired looks like. Oh, he's reading the paper. He likes watching you guys. He thinks you're really down to earth.
Oh, we got him full. That's good. Yeah.
It's working.
So what's your insider secret that you swear by but rarely share with the public?
We can't tell you.
I won't tell anyone.
No, okay.
Would you say it's add value? Like, what do you mean by insider secret? Like for traveling or for?
Yeah. Planning a lap, traveling around Australia.
I don't know that we've got that many secrets. We tell everyone everything.
Most people do.
Yeah.
Being so introverted like yourselves, you don't keep everything to yourselves.
I don't know if it is a secret insider tip, but I will say that I think campground etiquette is something that it's very easy. We've seen it happen a few times where it's very easy for people to get stroppy with campground neighbours that they've never met, or that it's easy to alienate someone who is like the faceless person or whatever. So I liken it to like road rage, right? Like you're traveling in your car. I don't know if you've seen, there's an awesome parody video somewhere on the internet about someone who's walking around the supermarket with their shopping trolley and behaving like you do, or someone with road rage does when they're, and just showing the ridiculousness of it, of the things that you will say when you're in your car about someone who you don't know from a bar of soap that is in their car and can't hear you, versus if you're face to face with them with a trolley. No one speaks like that to people, right? Very few people, at least. And I think it's a bit the same with campground etiquette. So I think it's a very easy to alienate someone who's next to you, who's running their generator, or whose dog is barking, or whose kids are running around,
or who's driven through a campsite at like 40 k's an hour.
Yeah, that
our top
people.
Tips for when you're going traveling. Number one, as soon as you enter a campground, any campground, slow down to like the slowest crawl you can possibly crawl through, because if you go in there and kick up dust over people, or people have got their kids out there like, slow down, you idiot. Am I allowed
it? Yeah, whatever you like.
And if that's your first impression, they're not going to want to have a beer with you and kick back in the sunset.
I was going to go from the whole different side of things, where I was going to say what I would encourage people to do is go and meet your neighbours, go and say g'day. Everyone out there travelling is having a good time, and 99.9% of them are all awesome people. And
yeah, they are.
And some of them may be new. They may have only just started out. They don't assume everyone knows everything that you know, or that they might not realise that they've kicked up dust, and they may not realise that their dog barking is annoying. Or you might go and meet them and have a beer and be like, it's all right, it's only Bob's dog down the end there. He's fine. But it's when it's a stranger or someone that you've, I think it's this thing when, we're so used to, particularly I think if you're living in cities or larger towns, and it's just not as common these days to know your neighbours and to chat with your neighbours and things. And I think it's something that you can bring into the camping and travelling circuit, where just go and talk to more people, and you'll have a far better time because you'll meet so many more people and share so many stories. And we've met some incredible people from all walks of life and regularly do, but you'll have a better time because you're not sitting there seething about the bloke that drove through the campsite too fast or whatever. So I would say the insider tip is don't let the little stuff get to you, particularly from your neighbours. Go and say g'day. And if they have done something, that's just say, hey mate, just say, when you drove through before, you kicked up a heap of dust. Like, it'd be awesome if you could slow down a little bit. We'd really appreciate it. All the kids are running around, whatever it might be. Most people, I can guarantee, are just going to be like,
I didn't realise.
I'm really sorry. I didn't realise. Absolutely. Thanks for letting me know. And then they're learning. Yeah. Anyway, I just think that the thing is with campground etiquette, just be a good person, but go and say good day to your neighbours. And it's a great community out there of travelling people, and you're going to want to be a part of it. And the best way to do that is just to talk to people. Yeah.
Very true.
I don't know if that's where you thought that question would lead, but that's where I took it.
It doesn't matter because it's your answer to that question. So I don't mind where it goes. That's about it. Have you got anything else that you'd like to share? I think people don't know where you're from, do they? They don't know that you're lifestyle pioneers, do they? And where can they find you?
So you can find us on YouTube is the best place to find us. You'll find close to 300. How many videos will you find?
Hundreds.
Hundreds of videos that we've put up over the years, Instagram and Facebook. And we do a newsletter weekly. So jump over to our website as well and you'll subscribe to that. And
Weekly?
Weekly-ish.
When was the last time it went out weekly, Liz?
Weekly-ish.
Weekly on YouTube. Liz gets to a newsletter whenever she can. But yeah, we try and get out a regular newsletter and share.
That's the goals. That's the goals. If I tell them here, then I have to uphold the weekly-ish.
But we share some cool stuff in the newsletter too that you don't
Yes.
see on YouTube and stuff. And like a lot of the stuff we've talked about, like our favorite campsites, some of our favorite gear that we use, competitions and giveaways and stuff in there, as well as just general chit chat about what we've been up to and share our tips and tricks and stuff in there. So yeah, they're the best places to find us. But yeah,
or out in a campsite.
We'll
Just
see on
Alright.
YouTube.
go to wiki
Yeah.
camps, free camps.
Yeah. Yeah.
Go find us.
Is there anything else that you'd like to share? Any other tips that you can think of?
Look, honestly, I think for us the biggest thing is just get out there and have a good time. That's why we do what we do, is just to encourage, to try and break down some of the barriers for people to getting out there and go and do, whether it's a hot lap, whether
Or a
it's even
weekend.
just a weekend camping trip, whether it's going to be selling up and traveling full time like us. It really doesn't matter. We just really saw so many people just in the daily grind that just weren't getting out in nature, and it's so good for us all. And it's such an awesome, diverse country that we live in, and the traveling community is just such a fantastic bunch
They're
of
the
people.
best people,
And,
honestly.
yeah.
And travel kids are so beautiful. Like, you will never meet a more beautiful child than a travel child.
Yeah.
Yep.
And look, every day is not going to be magic, but it'll still be the best time of your life, and you'll never regret it. We just want to see more people out there enjoying it.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Thanks
Well-
so much for having us on, Annette. That's been lovely.
Ah, you are very welcome. Thanks for your time today.
No problems.
I'm
Anything to get out of
sure-
cooking.
What's for dinner?
No,
Tuna
morning.
mornay. It's quick and easy.
Yeah, good one. Good one.
Yeah.
I'll just finish that off again. So thanks very much for joining me today. Really appreciated your time. And I'm sure our listeners would have got a lot out of that. So thank you very much.
Oh, thank
Oh,
you. It's
thank
been awesome.
you.
It's been good fun.
Yeah. Yeah. Ah, that's it. Finished.
Easy. Now
Well,
you get to
this-
go and edit that.
Pardon?
Good.
Now you get to go and edit that.
Yeah. I find it easy with Descript. I use Descript
Okay.
because I can edit the transcript.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
It's kind of
Yeah.
like a cheats way of doing it, I suppose. It's a
Yep.
quicker way of doing it for sure. So,
Yep.
but that's working. Now I've worked it out how to use it.
It's half the battle, isn't it? Just working out how the platforms work and what options are available to you.
Yeah, and I'm not good with reading instructions really. I like to work it out by doing it. So that makes things probably takes me twice as long to do things. But
And do you use the video as well? Do you put
Yeah.
videos?
yeah.
Cool.
So the podcast was actually supposed to launch last week,
Mhm.
but the guy that looks after all the techie stuff on my website is still trying to work a few things out, and because he's
That
building,
always takes longer than you think it's going to take.
yeah, it's like, just tell me how it works and I'll do it, sort of thing. But he's designed a template for me, so some of the functionality isn't working correctly, so I don't want to launch and have it not, half of it doesn't work, and say the link to your website doesn't work, those sorts of things. So there's still a bit more testing to do. But you are the 6th interview, so it'll probably all launch together. Those first 6 will launch together, or
Yep.
first 5, and then you'll be the next cab off the rank. And fingers crossed, I gave him a deadline last week, and I've given him another one this week. But I don't want to put too much pressure on him because I want it to work. So,
Yeah.
and I don't want to release it on the podcast platforms without it having a presence on my website as well, with a proper
Yeah.
blog post about you guys and stuff like that. So yeah, there's a lot of moving parts.
Oh,
Make
yeah.
a podcast, they said. It's easy.
It's easy, they said. It's always harder than you think it's going to
Yeah.
be. Always so much behind the scenes that happens to make this stuff happen. And
Yeah. Yes. I think certainly, I mean, I'm always on the other side of a YouTube video where I'm watching, but I understand really how time consuming it can be. We're having a website, Facebook groups and all of that. So it's constant, isn't it? You could do 7 days a week.
Oh, you could always do more. You could always do more. And I think that's probably something else is that we know a lot of people that are perfectionists, and you just have to let go of that perfectionism if you're planning on doing what the algorithm wants you to do, which is release regular content. You know, Simon could spend weeks editing the most amazing episode, but you would only ever get like one episode a month out. And you're better off putting 4 out.
Yeah. I came to that conclusion with my first couple, trying to get the sound perfect, and I thought, it's not going to happen. I'm just going to have to, after spending hours and hours, just accept it for what it is.
Yeah, I mean, unless the people you're talking to, like us, have got a proper microphone and stuff and recording it separately, you're only relying on technology, and it's challenging. Like, we've done a couple of podcasts and similar, and they're either over the phone or like this, and your audio is always going to suffer a little bit, but as long as people can hear you at the end of the day, they're pretty forgiving. You're not in the studio, are you? So I mean,
that's right. And it's amateur. You know, I don't profess to be a professional in any shape or form. So.
Nor do you need to be, though. Like,
it's like, have a go, have a crack.
Yeah,
same as YouTube. Like, I think if I spent as long as I'd like to making this perfectly beautiful cinematic video, it'd look great, but no one would probably watch it because they can't relate to it. It doesn't actually. You've got to. A bit of raw and real. Like, you want to get the basics right, but at the end of the day, people don't watch YouTube or listen to podcasts for a super polished production.
No.
Thanks for tuning in to Big Lap Chats. We hope today's episode helped you take another step towards planning your lap of Australia. And if you're already on the road, we hope you picked up some great tips on where to stay and what to see and do along the way. If you found it helpful, we'd love your feedback. Head over to allaroundoz.com.au/podcast, where you can also download the show notes and find more resources to help with your journey. We'll be back next week with more tips and stories about caravanning, camping, and planning your lap of Australia. Until then, happy travels.